And I think so I'm live. Okay, I don't have the starting screen today. I just wanted to end live because I'm already 10 minutes late. Let me confirm my audio if it is good or not. That I can check from this live stream. Just give me some moment. I'm just verifying the audio. Let's mute it here. Right, everything has been verified successfully. Now I can do the stream. Okay, so what I'm planning for today is, like, yesterday we faced a lot of issues. So now I think today is the right time when we are going to start with all bunch of this, because yesterday we were trying to seed some data and we were facing some issue, and because of that I had to take that video down, because that video had no sense, because we were just fixing some issue related to Docker update, and that's why let's not focus there. Now we have to focus today on creation of all of these below points from 2 to 6, and that we are going to do now in the today's video. So let's see what we have here. So this is our Visual Studio Code, and yesterday I made some enhancement to the domain. That's not something important. Let me zoom this a bit, and this looks good. Okay, so now as we have to focus on the API creation. Okay, in the API we have common, we have domain, feedbacks, everything is here. Persistence has this, and what else features. Okay, this is the feature we have to work on. So today we will start with creation of this I endpoint with the reflection. So for that I am going to use this common, and inside that we can create extension, and in this extension we will create endpoint extensions .cs. Okay, so first of all, why do we need this? We first need to understand that, like, why is this really required? So we need this because, for example, as we are using minimal API, and to use the minimal API, if you see here, right, we have program.cs file, and this is how we create our API endpoints, right? And now imagine you need to create about 20 plus API endpoints. Imagine your program.cs file will just grow. Like currently it is just 113. So if you have about 20 API endpoints, so that can make your program.cs file to become more than 1000, which we don't want to do. So we have to create all these API endpoints into a separate file, correct? To do that part, what we can actually do, let me open up this. Yeah, so what we can actually do is to club them into a separate file, and that file we can do some grouping. For that we are going to create one extension, and that extension is going to register all our API endpoint, and that's why we have this endpoint extension. Now I'm gonna talk less and write more. Okay, namespace. Okay, TalkPulse common extension, that's good. We have public sealed class. We can give this as endpoint extension name, that's correct, and this is what we have to map the endpoints. Okay, so we are going to use this mapping of endpoints, but we might need to have a interface, basically a contract, which basically tells we have to map endpoints. So for that I will say public interface I endpoint, and what this guy has, this guy just provides the structure, so this will provide a structure of map and point. Okay, map and point, and this basically takes your I endpoint builder. Do we have it? We have these two types of builder. So we have this route builder, and this is nothing but your app. Okay, this is the structure what we have. Like whoever wants to use our endpoint, they have to go and implement this interface, and he will get access to map endpoint. Okay, for example, here we can have a class, right? We can have a public. Okay, let's not go there. We will see the example when we will create the endpoint, so that I'm not wasting time just to explain here. We are trying to make everything beautiful. Like we are trying to create all sort of tools what we need to start building our API endpoint. So that's what I'm trying to do. So this is just a tool building phase. Okay, now here we have this API endpoint extension, so we can go and create. So this is not what I want. I can create a static method, public static, then public static. We have iService collection. Okay, iService collection, and here we can add our endpoints. Add. Now my AI will get smarter and smarter the more I write. Okay, and what this guy will have, as we are creating an extension method, we use this, and yeah, something like this. So let's see, I need to add one extra thing which I will show you. This is my services, and I'm going to take assembly, which comes from reflection, assembly, which comes from system.reflection. This is my assembly, because I'm going to use assembly to fetch all this method name and everything which we want to use, and I'm just trying to see if this is correct. Yes, this is something what I'm looking for. Let me press tab and try to explain you all what is this about. Okay, so this is my I with service selection, endpoint. Yes, we have services. Yes, we are going to use assembly.getType, and we are trying to check that yes, the type of should be assignable from this type, and it shouldn't be an interface, and it shouldn't be another abstract class. So it should be none of this, where we'll be using this endpoint. Okay, and then we will get it. Then we are going to call all of them. Singleton is wrong. We can use add transient. If you know about dependency injection, so you should know what is this I'm trying to do, and you registered them as a transient, and you just return them as a service. Okay, all right. So why is this complaint? The extension might be defined as a non-generic class. What do you mean? Where did I added some generic? So public sealed class, which is correct, right? And then we have class endpoint extension. That's it. And then we have public static iService collection. Okay, I don't know, maybe we can fix it over the time. Okay, so this is the first thing what you need, and now you need a map and pointer. Okay, yes, this is what I was talking about. So we need someone to map all these endpoints. So we have public static, but we need to return something. I'll tell you, we have to return something. Public static, I want to return I application builder. Yes, and this is going to map your endpoint. So we have map and points. Okay, I'm just trying to review. Okay, this is something which is okay. And points, map and points. We go and say this web. Okay, every time. Okay, we have application builder and we have web application. So we have two types of things. So we need a web application. Okay, we have this app, and then we can also take your route group builder. This is going to be an optional. We have router group, or we say route group builder, and we can initial value take this as null. Okay, my AI understands what I need. So we have map endpoints, which basically helps you to map things. So here we need to get the services, which is here we can directly go and call the endpoint. So no need to add a services. We can say where endpoints app.services.get. Yes, which is correct. So here we are going to get all the endpoints, And the thing is, right, we need to have a builder. So here this is guys trying to do something same what I wanted. Okay, so we have all the endpoints. If this is null, then I'm going to just use the route. If it is not null, then we'll use router builder. If this is null, then we are going to use just map endpoints. Okay, now there is a question why I'm going with this map builder, because for example, if you need to do something like how do I say it? For example, here we have this, yes. So here you can see, right, we have something called as map group. So if someone wants to do the grouping of their APIs to have some kind of API versioning, that can be done with this map group. So that's why I'm trying to return and make it possible that we can use both the ways. If someone likes, hey, I want to go with this approach or I want to go with that approach, they can use any approach what they want, and this should do the job pretty much it. Yes, let's save this. And why this guy is still failing, like why this? Oh, this is sealed class. This has to be a static class. Yes, this is an extension method, so we cannot make it sealed, it's static. And then you can call add endpoints, yes, and then you can call map endpoints, which is good, and this logic is correct. If I'm not, this can be improved if you want. You can use ternary operator, you can get the builder, but I feel this does the job, so I'm okay with this. Let's see if anyone is here. Okay, good. ओके भैया, आप कौन से कंपनी में जॉब करते हो? भाई मैं जॉब करता हूँ यहाँ पे एक ब्रेन रॉकेट करके कंपनी है, यहाँ पे जॉब करता हूँ यूरोप में. सॉरी, या यू कैन से दैट. ठीक है, okay, let's go to different types. So again, I'm gonna talk less today, I'm gonna do more because we are lacking behind. If you need explanation, just let me know in the comment, because I know what I'm trying to do now. So I have created an endpoint. Okay, we have this, okay, where we create the endpoint types for each. Okay, application builder, this looks good. So now we have our endpoint extension. Okay, let's see what else we needed. So we go here, we have endpoint with reflection. We will create endpoint which is get session, and we are going to use this endpoint. Okay, looks good. And then logging and mediator behavior. Okay, that's fine. So let's go and create the endpoint, because now we can have our endpoints ready. So let me see if anyone has any other questions in the chat. Doesn't seems to be, it's the old one. Okay, now what we need to do, right, we have to basically go and tell them in your program.cs that, hey, I want to register all these endpoints, right? So because we just created, now we need to go and use them inside your program.cs file. Okay, so for that, let's go and remember we added assembly, so we need to add it with an assembly. So where do we add it? I'm gonna remove this weather forecast. It's just clutter here, which I don't need. Seed data is good. Here we also don't need this app.mapget. We can get rid of this. We don't need summaries. We can get rid of this. Okay, so now first thing, we need a builder to add it here. So we say builder dot services dot add endpoint, which is coming from this extension which we have created, and this guy needs an access to your assembly. Okay, here you can pass the assembly, so we can get type of program.cs.assembly. Okay, so this guy got the assembly, and now we have to register them. So we registered them, and now we have to use them. You remember we make use of middlewares. So middlewares comes here, so I'm going to put it just below this. Here we can say where, we can say app. Okay, now we are trying to register it, okay, as an API. So we can say where my API, and we can say that app dot, we have a map group. Okay, here we can do the grouping, and for example, if you need your API to be /API/v1, like all your API endpoints should have it. And okay, this also helps, this with tags. Okay, he gave us some tag, and now what you can do, you can just make use of your app.map endpoint, and you can pass your route builder. This is nothing but your route builder. If I hover on this is your route builder, right? Route builder, and you can pass it over here. Okay, if I go back here, can you see okay, this is our app, and we needed argument as route builder, which we are trying to pass it over here as an API. Can you see this is route? You can say builder as well if you want. Okay, route group builder. This makes more sense, and you can use this route group builder here. Okay, and now we have registered successfully. Now we can use it. Now if we want to create any endpoint, can be done very easily. Okay, let's try to create your API endpoint. I think so we already have. Yes or no? No, we don't have it. Let's create our first feature then, and that is going to be our endpoint. So we go and say we have a feature called as sessions, and inside session we need to create our first feature. We say get sessions.cs. Okay, so now what we're trying to do, we are trying to create a session now. Okay, so for that there are several ways to do it. Okay, so we have, okay, let me first create the endpoint. Okay, let's create the endpoint first. So we have get session endpoint. Okay, endpoint.cs. Let's have the namespace. No, this is not the one. Namespace. Okay, TalkPulse, this is wrong. We should be dot feature, right? What's the name of that? Features. Features dot sessions dot create session. Okay, I did a mistake. It should be inside create session. Okay, in the session we have get. Okay, that's fine. Let's just have it as a session. Okay, yeah, we will improve it later once we have folder structure. Now here we can create the endpoint public sealed class. Public sealed class, we say get session endpoint. Do you see get session? I'm not going to use this. I'll tell you why. Now remember we have created this I endpoint, which comes from our extension, and if you have interface, so interface give you a structure. So let's create a structure by implementing the interface, and this is what I was talking about. And here you can say app.map get. Can you see? We don't have repository, so I don't need you. Okay, no need of, that's why I don't need all this. Yeah, this we can keep for now. Okay, but this is what it is I was talking about. So here if you see we have session with, let's not have it, we say get sessions. Okay, just like that. And then here we can say return. Okay, let it guy create some session, and we can say return session.okay. This is just dummy data so that we can check that our API endpoint is working. So we have get session endpoint. We use I endpoint to basically create this part, and we add some tags here. Like this is the name. This is just get sessions, retrieve sessions. Okay, we need to make this thing beautiful. Retrieve sessions. Okay, and with tags, yeah. Retrieve list of sessions. Okay. Cool. This is just one, so that's fine. We can do something like this. Okay, so that it becomes a list, and that's all. Right now we need to run your Aspire. So for that we say Aspire run. I hope it runs today, because yesterday we faced a lot of issue for running it. I hope we don't get that problem today. Okay, it is running here. Let's me take my browser. Okay, this is still okay. Now this makes sense. This is running now because my Docker is also running. This is interesting. Okay, now this should run my API. Let's click the API endpoint and let's go to Scalar. And I'm expecting a session. So we have a session, we have API/v1/session, and we can test it by sending the request. And I get some error. What is the error? HTTP bad requires a parameter, a GUID ID. Okay, I know what's that issue. So let's go back and fix this issue. We don't need a GUID ID because we just generate a new GUID ID because we are just trying to manually test. Okay, now if you see, I made some changes, so I don't have to restart my application. So what I will do instead, without restarting the application, I can go to our TalkPulse. I can rebuild it here, so I can go and rebuild the application directly from here, and it has started as well. So you go to scalar, you send again the same request, and now you see the response. We get a response, which means our API endpoint is working fine, and we are also able to get response. And you see how beautiful this was to develop it. So we have sessions, and we just created this get endpoint. And now session is one feature, and session can have multiple commands and query. For example, you remember we are implementing CQRS pattern. Excuse me, and CQRS pattern, I can show you, give you some brief knowledge again. What am I talking about? What happened? Yes, thanks. So I remember I was explaining somewhere. Yeah, this was the CQRS. So if you see, CQRS is all about giving a command and a query. Command is nothing but your create, update and delete, and query is nothing but your get. Okay, so based on that, I'm going to create some folder. So these are going to be inside a vertical slice architecture. Okay, so we are going to create some features. Let's go and create some feature. So we have one of the feature, which is get. So this is sessions is my feature, and inside the session we have get session. Okay, get session, and we can move these two files inside get session. Okay, in the same way, you can also have another session called another feature called as create session. Yes or no? You can have update session. Something like that. Okay, so this is just a feature. Inside the feature, you can have some query or commands based on what you're trying to do. So here we just created one endpoint which gives this, but is it a vertical slice architecture? No. Because it involves a lot of things, because currently, yeah, we just have one endpoint which returns a dummy data, but here we are trying to use query command, and we make use of something called as mediator pattern, like mediator, to do this. So for that, what we need, right? So when you are trying to do get, what do you mean by get? If you want to get something which is query, you want to create a query. Okay, so for that we have to create some files which is called as get session. So let's build our file get session query.cs. Okay, because if you don't have a query, then like how will you basically need to tell, hey, what you want to do based on like how you want to get your session. So you will build a query first. Okay, because getting things means query. If you want to post something, if you want to delete something, that is a command. Okay, so we have our first file called as get session query. This should be sessions, not session, because we need multiple sessions. So get sessions query. Okay, let's go with this, and here let's add the namespace. Namespace should be let me write it down: TalkPulse .api .feature .session .create session. Okay, sorry, get session, this is my folder name. Sorry, thanks AI. Sessions, we need to rename this as well. Get sessions, and this should be get sessions. Yes. Okay, so we need to create. So for that, what I'm going to use, let's create public sealed record, because we want to get a query, like we want to get some query, right? So we say get session query, and to get the query we need a speaker ID, because session is based on speaker ID. So we have a speaker ID. Okay, speaker ID, and to create this is a request which is coming from mediator. So we have to create a request. So I request, and what type of response you expect. Okay, whenever I'm trying to do the get query in the request, what kind of response you get? I'm expecting a response of some DTO. So list of some DTO, some which we can create. So we can say get session, or I can say session summary. What am I doing? Sessions summary. response. This is what I am going to expect. Okay, so let's create this record as well. So we'll say public sealed record get session summary response. Okay, this is what I expect. So I'll get a ID, I'll get a title, I'll get description, I'll get start time. Okay, start time and time is good, but I don't want that information. I need a summary kind of thing, right? So we have title, description. What else we have in the summary? Let's go to your model, basically a domain. This is my feature, and where does my domain sits? I forgot. Yeah, in the common you have the sessions. So what else we have? We have title, description. We can get a status. We can get a join code is important. Like for example, if you want to join it, so you have a join code. Okay, so let's go and add all those required property. So we have string called as join code. Okay, let's have at least this information as a response. Okay, and this will be a list of response. So if you remember, this is the first step what we do when you are trying to build something with CQRS. Okay, let's also add who is the speaker. For example, like who will be going to speaker, start time, end time. You can add it if you want. Okay, if you remember, I have made it as null. If you don't update the session start time and then this will be null. So let's not have it now. Once we will create a session, then we will update this to include this. So right now it's just this much is enough. This looks good to me. Session join code and description. Yes. Okay, so now you have a get session query, and this query you need to pass a speaker ID, and what kind of request you accept, like what kind of response you get. You need response of this, right? List of session. Okay, now you need to have a handler. Okay, so you created a query, but you need a query handler who will handle this query, who will do the DB call and all that. So for that, it's pretty simple. We say get sessions query query handler .cs. Okay, let's have the namespace TalkPulse. Again, this guy, I need to teach this, so I have to type it manually. Okay, sessions.create session. Okay, this is wrong, not create, this is get sessions. Okay, here we need to create the handler. And how do we create the handler? It's again simple. Let's have an internal. Okay, I don't know if you know about why I'm using internal here. It depends. Like internal you have this protected access modifiers. Internal is basically for your whole assembly. Okay, you can access this inside your whole assembly, so that's why you can keep it internal, or if you want you can keep it public, but depends what kind of constraint your project basically has. Internal is easy and safe because all the code and feature will be part of your same assembly what you have inside this API project. Okay, so we have this sealed class. Okay, and this get session query handler, and this is something correct. This is something correct what I am looking for. Okay, I just need to update few things. For example, here we need a mediator. This is get session query, which is request, and this is the response what you expect. This I don't need. What I can do, I can use primary constructor app db context. We can say db. You don't need this now. You save a lot of things. Here you say db dot session. You just check if speaker is equal to okay, this speaker ID, and you get and create this response. Null reference description is okay. This could be a null. Okay, so we can also handle that. Let's go to your this is the one. Let's have it as an optional, because yeah, that's part of the DB and it could be optional. And then we have to list async. We need to fix it by why do we need to fix it? Dot to list async. Yes, we need to import, and then we can put a cancellation token just to be safe. Okay, this is good practice, and thanks AI is also imposing, because I see a lot of people don't use this cancellation token. If your application stops expediently, you don't need to wait for it, and it will go and cancel the request itself. So this is the one we have. Okay, this is the task, and this returns this, and this is the query. Looks good. I'm just trying to see if this is correct, because this is all AI generated code. Okay, we have request. Yeah, because we need to use handler to handle the request. for this query it does okay, and then we have handle async. You take this request, you get the speaker ID from here. But the problem is this is the request what we have created, this query, and this guy needs a speaker ID, and currently we don't have we do have a speaker ID, but we are not taking it here. So either there are two ways by which you can handle this. First thing, you can handle it at the endpoint level. Okay, so if you go to the endpoint, you can handle it over here. You need to pass the speaker ID here. So I'll talk about that. I'll show you. So you have this handler. I know this is very confusing if someone who is very new to CQRS pattern. So initially it feels very overwhelming. What we are actually doing here. But the more you write the code, the more things started to make sense. This is my experience as well when I was working with vertical slice architecture and this MediatR. Initially it was so hard for me to understand, but over the time I started to like it, and I started to basically understand okay why we are actually doing this, right? So now here, and every file is separated, every file does their own job. So separation of concern is also there. Like you also follow single responsibility principle if you go with vertical slice architecture. It works on the same fundamental basically. Okay, so we have this session and everything. Now you will see how magically things will get called when I'm going to go inside this endpoint. I'm going to remove all of this. Okay, and you will understand why. You'll understand why. Because now what happens, you need to call your mediator from, because your mediator should be responsible for sending the request. Okay, so whatever request it goes via your mediator. And here we still have the session, and we need to get the mediator here. So we can inject it directly here. So we have iMediator. We have already installed the package. So we have mediator, and we can also have your cancellation token called as CT. Okay, so now you have mediator. Now you need to get the speaker ID, but currently we don't have speaker ID. So what we will do, we are going to mock it. So let's go to the browser and let's open up your Postgres pgadmin. Okay, I remember I have a speaker already created. Schema. Sorry guys, I'm talking more today because as I told you, we are lagging behind, and today I really just want to focus on pure coding. If you have question, put them in the comment section. If you are not able to understand what am I doing, select star from okay, we need to get the speaker, right? So let's see if we have a speaker. Yes, we do have a speaker. We can grab this, and you can go here, and here I can create a speaker where speaker ID is this. You can pass this GUID.parse. It will create a GUID based on my ID. And now you have to call the query. You have to create the query. So we can say where query, yes, new session query. We need to go import using session slash. Yeah, you have this get session query created, right? This one. So you go and call it, and now your mediator just say, hey, mediator.send. You send the query which has this, and you pass the cancellation token. That's okay, and you get some result. Okay, and this results now comes, and now you see automatically it will work. That's what the statement I always give to mediator. It works automatically. Okay, let's save the changes. And I think, am I good? Yes, I'm good. Let's go back and try to build the project or rerun the project. So for that, I'll go here and rebuild. Let it get rebuilt. Okay, now it's running. I will go to scalar, refresh this, and we have a get session. Test the API endpoint. I send, and can you see I got a bunch of session which belongs to my user. You'll say, hey, where is this data coming? This is all currently sitting inside my PG admin. So if I show you, this is my sessions, and there you go. Can you see I have all like 6 session already created, and if you see, we have a speaker ID. So we have already passed. So based on speaker ID, I'm trying to fetch the session, and there you go. This is what you see. We got 6 session, which is already sitting inside my database. And this is the first endpoint what we have created to get the session. You see, we have join code and everything here. Okay, I see a problem, to be honest. This join code, okay, I hope this is unique. Okay, this should be unique because I remember I changed some logic for this join code. I'll show you. You can find it on the GitHub. So if you see the session, and now I have a different way to basically create a join code. So I take all the characters, I create a random 6 bytes, and based on the bytes it goes and select the character, and it converts to an array which you can use collection expression. Yeah, this is also good, right? So this is what you can do, and based on this always tries to create a random number every time. So that creates a random code for you. This is a new change what I have added, which I think I skipped this in live stream, but I'm just showing you. If you want code, you can find it on the GitHub. Okay, let's see if anyone has any question, because I will move to part number 2. Yeah, okay, same question. Again, anyone have any question, just ask me, guys. Don't be shy. So we have did a lot. So let's go and commit this code. We have added program.cs. We are just trying to review. Okay, we removed a lot of code. Yes, sessions we have created. We created the folder structure as well. Let's commit this code. Let's commit this implemented session retrieval endpoint with MediatR integration and query handling. Yes, let's save the changes. So now we have our one API endpoint ready. Now I have 2 requirements. First thing, I want to have a logging. For example, what happens during my request? Okay, what happened during my request? I need to track them. Okay, I don't know where did my agenda went. This is the one. Yeah. So we are done with 2 things. See, now I'm trying to be fast. So this is done and this is done. Now I need this guy. I need a logging, and I also need some validation. For example, if user is sending some input, I'm creating a session, okay, and user is sending something to me. For example, he sends speaker ID, he sends title, he sends description. So I need to validate them, correct? So that validation has to be added. So we can make use of MediatR behavior. So MediatR gives another feature called as pipeline behavior. That's what it called, pipeline behavior. So we are going to use pipeline behavior to create logging and validation. Okay, so, and again, you first need to basically understand like what is basically this fundamental, why we need this logging. So first of all, you need to understand that. For example, here we already have a structured logging here, and I need to see here. I cannot see anything which tells that, hey, you did some fetching, you did something failed, something is bad, or and all that. Here you only see warning and error. Here I also want to track what happens during my API journey. Like the request came and then did it fail, and then did the response went back and all that. So you can create this logging behavior, because as we are using MediatR and MediatR is handling us this request and response, so we can use the same feature from the MediatR which basically does the logging. Okay, now for that, let's go back to your Visual Studio Code. Okay, I'm doing it all one by one, step by step. Okay, so let's get rid of this and let's close everything. So we have, again, go to API, common, we have extension, and we can create another folder called as behavior. Behaviors. Is it correct spelling? No. What's the spelling of behavior, guys? V-I-O-U-R. V-I-O-U-V-I-O-R-S. Behaviors, and here we can create our first logging behavior.cs. Okay, and we need a namespace. Let's see the namespace. Okay, common / extension, no, common dot behavior. Why? Okay, this guy, behavior. Okay, behaviors. So we have this, and we are going to create this pipeline behavior. So again, this is going to be internal. All right, see the power of AI. The code was actually correct. This is what I'm actually looking for. Yes, this is what I'm actually looking for. Okay, let's have a code from AI, and then we will see. If what we need to change. First thing, we need to import pipeline behavior. This comes from MediatR. Good. You have a login behavior. Yes, I don't like this idea. We can create primary constructor. So we can use primary constructor and we can get rid of this unused. This is my logger. This is my logger. And let's review the code. Yes, so this is what I was talking about. We use iPipeline behavior. This is coming from MediatR. It's a generic type, takes your request and response. And this is logging behavior. We mentioned that your request shouldn't be a null. So we add some constraint that your request should not be a null. Okay, not null, something like that. And this is where this interface has this method called as handle. And this handle takes your request. This has your request handler delegate so that it can go to the next pipeline. So that's a next for you. And then we have a cancellation token for safe exit. Okay. Here we use the name, like, you get the name of the request and you log them. So handling request, let me add this. Can I do this? So this is incoming, this is outgoing, just to make it simple and beautiful. This is incoming, this is outgoing. So handling request name with context. So here, if you see, this is the request name. This will take the first parameter here, and this is the second parameter, which takes it here. Now you must be wondering, Sky, what is this @ This @ is basically, if it is a JSON object, so you can serialize them. That's why I use, if it is a dynamic request, you make it as @ and it will serialize. Request name is a simple string. If you see, this is a simple string, so you can just keep it like this. And and then you pass the response. Okay, context dot next, and then you say logger.log information, handle the request, which is good, and you pass the request name. Okay, this is good. This is something what I was looking for, and that's how you create a behavior in such kind of a project where you're using MediatR. You need another one, which is you need a validation behavior. Currently we don't have validation files created. If you remember, we are using Fluent validation, but we have not yet created that, but I thought let's create that now, so that that also handles the validation for us, but we will create those validation file. So this is validation behavior .cs. Okay, we need a namespace. It will come by default, common dot behavior, and internal class. I'm amazed. Okay, because AI knows what I'm gonna write, so that's good, but we will review it again. This is not good. Oh, the heck, this is wrong. Well, we need a validation behavior, so let's create that. Internal sealed class. We have validation behavior. Yes, this looks correct now. Okay, we have iValidator, which comes from Fluent validation. We have iPipeline behavior, which comes from MediatR, and that's all. This is what it has become like, but I want to review the code because it's been so much time that I have created any validation behavior. Okay, this takes your, this basically tells that, you will pass all the validator here and you're going to validate them. So it basically goes and scans if there is any validation issue, have that as an kind of an argument here, and it basically checks if there is no validation error. If there is no validator, then it just goes and, hey, go to the next pipeline. So next, or else no, if there is something which we need, so it goes and pass your request. You take the context, and against the context, it takes those validator and checks if this validation is correct or not. If it is not, you get the error, and it checks that your error should not be null, and based on that, it returns all the failure. And here it checks if the failure count is not 0, which means there are some failures, there are some validation issues, so it throws an exception. Now a question to me, now a question to everyone who, let's see who is watching the stream. Okay, is it good to throw exception at this point of time here? Because this will throw an exception. Okay, let's see. We will see what we get during the response, and then we will see if we can improve it, because I have an idea to improve it, and make it better. We can create something called as global exception handler. What do you guys think? can we create a new file which is going to handle all the exception for us? Because if you remember, all our domain throws an exception, and exception can be of like, it will look like some strings and all that. So do you think should we create one exception handler? What do you guys think? Let's create one handler. Now I need to see where that guy will sit. Persistence, no. Extensions, no. We need to define a place where we should have our exception handler. I'm just thinking, where should we keep it? Okay, let's keep it in the common itself. Okay, let's have it as a common itself, and then we will see if we can move it. So global exception, CEPTION, global exception handler. This is going to handle all the global exceptions, whatever we will face in our project. So let's have a namespace. This will just give API/common. That's it. Comes from the common, that's why. And okay, so we have internal sealed class. We have global exception. Why is it not exception handler? And this guy will need a logger, so we add a iLogger, yes, and we use iException handler, which is coming from Microsoft ASP.NET Core diagnostic. Okay, it comes from there. And then you have exception context, which is okay. Let me show you one thing. Let me get rid of all this code. Let's get rid of all of this, because I'm not happy in this way, because we need to handle a lot of issues. So here if I hover and let's implement, and this is what I was looking for. We have a value task of boolean, which returns a boolean, the hey, if it is handled or not. So you need to return the boolean. If it is handled, so you just return true. And here you get the HTTP context, you get your exceptions, and you get the cancellation token. Okay. Now what you need to do, you have to create the problem details. I'll talk about this problem details, because it's always better to return a problem detail rather than just some dummy object, okay, with some more details. So we say problem details, okay, and we are going to create a new problem details based on exception. So for example, exception can be 40, like validation exception, argument exception, key not found exception. There could be some unhandled exception, which you can just return problem details. That's it. So for us, we have few which is known: argument, key not found, and validation. Okay, so validation is important for us, because that's what this guy lacks. When we created the behavior, remember the behavior was sending a validation exception. So we need to handle this error. So that's from there I got this idea of creating a structured global exception handler, so that we always have a predicted JSON object which we return to the front end. Okay. So here we have a problem detail. Here we can say we have an exception, which we can switch. This is what I was looking for. Okay. Let's see. Validation exception we need to import. This is coming from, of course, data annotations and all that, but is it good to have it here? I don't know. Validation problem details. Do we have validation problem detail? I don't know. I'm just okay. They do have validation exception dot errors. Do they have errors? This is, I don't know, man. This is, I was not expecting, but yeah, we can create something like this. But do we need to have validation problem details? Does it really works? And does it really have error? Validation exception dot. Do they have error? They have value. What is this value looks like? I have no idea. Or else should we create a problem detail with this structure? Title, status, detail. What do you guys think? I don't know. I'm like, okay, should we just let's have just one problem detail structure. Okay, So here we have let me show what I mean by that. So here we can say validation exception validation. Let's go with a simple name exception, and here we say yes, and we are going to return new problem details, and this problem details is going to have something called as status. Status is nothing but status code. Status code. I don't know why is it not come. Yeah, this is the one, status code dot, and they have different way of sending it, so we need a 400 bad request. That's our status. Then we have a title where we can say validation failed. We can give detail, one or more validation error occurred. Yes, that can happen with validator if you use fluent validation. And then we can write what is extension. Yeah, in the extension we just get all the select all the errors to array. Okay, this is what it is. And okay, validation doesn't contain definition for errors, no accessible extension. Okay, we need to have some extension. Okay, I don't know, extension dot select. Am I missing anything? We need to create an exception. An exception don't have this, so I think we need to create one extension method. Let's see if this have, because we need to pass an exception which can basically return these errors. What do you guys think? Should we pass some validation exception within problem detail, because we need to get all the errors from it, and someone should return this Okay, so there was some issue with my capture, so that's why I have to be okay. I'm back again. There was some issue that my microphone got disconnected, my camera got disconnected, so I have to take some small break, and I'm back again. Okay, so here we were struggling to get some, I don't know, this is AI generated code. I'm trying to see how can we fix it, but let's see. This is one of the exception. We can get the another exception. What was that? We have a default. If anything goes wrong, an error occurred, please try again later. Okay, something like this we can basically provide. But I was thinking if we can make it more like to handle some better exceptions as well, so that also we can add. For example, there is something called as argument exception. Yes, we can give the details. There is invalid operation exceptions. We can give these details. Do we have some more? Not found exceptions. We can give this problem details. Yes. Okay, we need to there is key not found. Okay, look, key not found exception. Key not found exception. Okay, this is good. And then we are just trying to handle it, and we are trying to send some details, but I'm not sure why this fails. Yeah, it will handle everything. And for just in case, if you have a problem details dot status, if your status is okay, if your status is greater than or equal to 500, so we can log an exception that this is an unhandled exception, or else you can log a warning, because this is more for error purpose and this is more for logging, like warning purpose. And then you say, hey, everything has been handled, and now I can return true, and this should do the job. Oh, I am currently inside this, so this is wrong. Let's go back. Okay, there is some wrong brackets has been added by AI. Right, save the changes, and we need to make sure we come out of it. Okay, right, this is wrong. Okay, HTTP context state. I'm just trying to play around with the AI, what AI suggests. This is wrong. We have to come outside of the bracket and then do this. Okay, let me do Control Z. I'm making a lot of mistakes. This happens if you completely rely on AI. This is your problem details. Yes, once your problem detail ends, you have your if else condition, so you cut this and you go out of this, because this is your problem details. Yes, and you have your if condition after that. You can access him here, and then okay, if the logger has been handled the error, then you can create HTTP context. Yes, checks for the status code, try to return them as an application/JSON. You can write the problem detail like here. Okay, but what is this error? So here we need to write, and then we need to return true, not like this. So we just tell them, hey, this can be awaited, right, if I'm not wrong, and then you can return this. But why it fails? Because we need to make sure that it starts with an async, which is already an async. No, it's not. So we need to make this async, and this we can await, and we can return true or false. I don't know. Yeah, we can return true, and this fixes the issue. I'm not sure. Let's try to use a new session, and let's ask him, can you improve this? Can you improve this and tell me what is the fix for this error? Let's see. Let's rely on AI to fix it. I'm not gonna go with this. Let's go with the simpler one, and let's have it like this, so that we know what changes AI made. Let's see. Okay, because I'm not sure how to fix it, to be honest. Like, I have never seen it. This is just generated by AI and I'm trying to see if we can. Okay, the issue is right. Okay, so there was some issue with our imports which has been fixed. Okay, so the issue was the import, so we don't have to use that import, and now we removed and everything looks good. Everything looks good. Context type application problem.json. This is, you write the problem details with the response. Yeah, this looks good to me, and we can save the changes. So now we have two things added. We have logging behavior, validation behavior. We just created, but now we need to use them. So we need to register them. So for that we can go to program.cs file. Where is my mediator? So where did I added the mediator dot? Yeah, this is the one. Here we have to remove this, and here we need to add the pipeline behavior. We need to add the login behavior. So you just go and do this. So yeah, just import both of them and you're pretty much done. So basically what we did, right, we always create something, but it's always necessary for us to go and add all the imports. If you don't add the imports, then it will never work, right? So we have added them, and okay, register, this has been changed, register from assembly, and this should be, this should be of type, come on, type of program.cs.assembly. Yeah, this is how it was. We saved the changes. Now we added two things, validation and logging. Let's see how the logging basically works now. So for that I go here and let's rebuild the project. This is fun. I'm happy today. We I have a great progress of finishing this, I guess. Okay, so let's go to API endpoint, and let me show you first the loggings. How is the logging is done? So let's go to structured logs. We can remove all. Okay, now we are going to do the API call. So go to the session, test the request, and send a request. So we got the response, and now if you go back and if you see the logging here, can you see we got information log that hey, you are trying to handle the get session query with the content. Here you can see this. Here can you see I get proper logging here. This is handling, and we get handled, right? You can see the details here, and where is that? Yeah, message is here. So here this is the hey, this has been handled, and this is the response, what it has handled. Correct? What is the type of the response, what is the response looks like, and all that. So this is able to serialize them. That's why we use that at the rate. Okay, and this is what I was talking about. You can add some log structured logging here, and this is the log level what we added information. Okay, now now what else we need to do? So we have did logging and validation behavior. This is also done. Now I need to add result pattern. So we need to work on this result pattern where we basically define all our error codes. Okay, result pattern is something is interesting when you want to return, like you don't want to return exception, rather you want to return some object with some proper error codes. So that's where the result patterns comes into the picture. And for that, let me open up VS Code again. Let's close everything, and let's see what we have in the common. In the common we have extensions. We need now error, because we need to define our error. So we say error error.cs, namespace is API common dot error. Okay, and here we create our enum first. So let me have our error type. We say public enum error type. We define all the error type here. What kind of error type? We can have none, we can have validation, yes, we can have not found, yes, we can have conflict, yes, we can have internal server error, yes. We can also have unauthorized, we can have forbidden. What else do you think we can have? This is 403, 401, 500, 409, 404, 400. None is like kind of a success. Unauthorized. Yeah, I think this covers most of them. So let's have your error. Let's create your error, public sealed. This is going to be my record. Record is because this is immutable. Here you can define your error type. You can say this is my type, and then you can define your string error message, correct. And then here you create all the types of error what you find. So for I don't want to make it read only. I want people can also go and update. So this is none. So here we are trying to create the type of error. If the error type is none, this is okay, this looks good. But what if it is not none? Like for example, we have not found. So we can say public. Let's go with the validation first, right? Or let's go with okay, let's see. We have public static, we have error. Yes, we can have a validation error. We can pass a string message and we can say this is validation error with a message. Same for the not found, same for the conflict, same for internal, same for unauthorized, same for forbidden, and that's all. How easy it becomes to code with AI. You just need to review the code which is generated by AI, that's all. Okay, we handled most of them. Validation, not found, conflict, internal, unauthorized, forbidden. Yes, we handled everything. We have conflict and user can pass a message. For example, if you need to send some your own custom message, that also you can do just by passing this as an argument that hey, validation error. Not found, you can just say it's something like resource not found. Okay. Conflict error, internal server error, unauthorized access, forbidden access, something like that. But if user wants to send something, he can also send. This is just an optional. That's how you make it optional, that there is always a predefined value. So that's how you have your errors created. And now we need to focus on the result, because result basically works on this fundamental that you are sending some error code. Okay, if something is getting failed. And if you see right now, we are always creating sealed records. Now with results, we need to create a class. So I'll show you what is this result. Okay, so we have namespace first. Namespace, TalkPulse not extension. This is going to be my error. And okay, we have public sealed class error. Now I'm not creating record, I'll tell you why. Not error, this is result result of type T. This is a generic result, and this will have a constructor. This will have two primary constructor. One handles for your error, one handles for your success. But I want to define a value first, so we have a private, we can say read only. We have value of T. Okay, let's go one by one. So we will have a value which will result, like if the result is success, we need to return a value, but the value should be private. There should be a method who should return this value. So I'll tell you what I really mean by that. So now here we have a value, we have a private constructor, private, we say result, and this result handles your value. So we have T value, which is a defined value. Okay, we don't have error here. So what we can say, we can pass the value which we created on the top, and for this the success will be true. So we have is success. We need to create these properties first. So let's go and create. Yes. Okay, then we can also have about error. So this is the error which you can have a getter. Let's not have this an optional. And then you can also create something called as failure. So if you want to create failure, we can say public failure. That's bool, right? Public bool is failure. Yes, if it is not success, then it is failure. So we have all these properties. So if we have a result where we have a value, we can say then is success is true and the error is none. So there is no error. But what if there is a failure? So we have another private constructor for it, and this handles the error. Okay, so value we can just keep it as default or something like this. This is suppressing, so yeah, we can remove. So that the value will be null because it's an error. We have is success as false, correct? And then we need to pass in the error, like, hey, what really went wrong? So you pass the error here, right? Now you need to return the value. So for that you will say public t, we get value. Okay, this get value is going to return. So it will check if it is failure is there. So if it is failure, then we can throw an exception, invalid operation exception. You cannot get a value from a failed result. Check is success before accessing the value. Okay, this is too much. Let's get rid of this. Okay, let's get rid of this. This is better. Okay, so we first go and check. If this is not the case, then we are going to return the value, and that's all. That's how simple it is. Okay, people ask why you add this hack. This hack is because we know that this will have a value because this is a success result. That's why we can add this. It's no harm. Okay, now let's create those method, okay, which will handle the success and error for us. So this is the first, this is the second, and that's it. That's all simple it is. And that's what I'm saying is that much easy with now to play around with AI. And I can say that, hey, you have a result where you can say result dot success and you can say result dot failure and pass the error message. So your result pattern is also somewhat ready. Okay, that's how you make a result pattern and whatever it is, like whatever you can call. Okay, so let's go back and let's go to your result. Now we have a result. What if I want to return this as an HTTP response? So if you remember, when I go back to my features, to my API endpoint, which is get session endpoint, and if you remember, we have this result. Okay, so we need to return some results. So this only returns like based on some, like for example, your API endpoint returns some value, like, hey, if this is 404, 409, 500 or whatever it is. What we can do, right? We can create another extension method. Okay, that can really wrap your result. So if you hover on this result, this is our result which is coming from our mediator. Basically, this is not the result pattern result. This is, we can also keep it as response. It's not a problem. But what I'm actually focusing on, that you need to have some extension which handles this, hey, how to throw an error from the endpoint. Okay, so for that we need to convert this result into a HTTP result, because this is our result. So okay, this result is coming from Microsoft and this result is coming from us. So we need to convert this result into the Microsoft result. Okay, let's see what I mean by that. So for that we need to create an extension which is result extensions.cs, and we create a class which is going to be a public static class result extensions. Yes, good. I don't need all of this. In this result we'll have public static, and there is something called as iResult. This iResult is coming from the Microsoft. Okay, this iResult will say I want to convert this to HTTP result based on the generic type what I have, and this will take this result of result. There is a lot of, so let's go and import. Okay, so this takes this result because this is an extension method, so that we can use result dot to HTTP result. So we first check if it is success, then we are going to return the value. Hey, this was success, so you take the value. But what if there is some error? So we are creating a switch case for the error type, and this will go and check if this is validation. We return bad request, we return not found, we return conflict, we return unauthorized, we return forbidden, and if anything else apart from that, we go and return internal server error, and that's it. Okay, so this is, then that's what I would say, that now we are ready with creating a better, okay, this is also done, so let me put it as done. This was the result pattern actually, where we have results class, where we also have the results extension method, which converts your result into an HTTP result, which is from .NET. Okay, good. Now what we need to do, let's focus just today on create session. Let's not do these two now today. Let's keep this thing for tomorrow. Let's try to do this now. I'll keep it as done because yeah, I'm gonna do this now. Okay, not sure. Okay, this is one of the important thing which is very important to do, because now we have to go step by step. How do we create a post request? So we go to the feature. In the feature we have create session. Okay, so first thing first, if you remember what we do, we first create a file, and that file is nothing but your request file. Like, hey, how do you want to request? Like, let's start with the request, what you will send to the request. Okay, so let's create a request. So we have create session request .cs, namespace, you can add extension, no, this is incorrect, API / features / session / create session, yes. Okay, so this is going to be my public sealed record. This is not command, this is create session request, which basically comes from the user. And what user will send? User will during the postman, what he will send? I will send title and description. This is my request. Okay, now I want to create a command for the request, so we say create session command. Okay, we have a create session command .cs. Let's have the namespace. I don't know what's wrong with my IntelliSense, which is feature dot session / create session. Okay. Okay, go back. Okay, now we need to create another command. So what is the command which mediator needs? Request was what we send, and command is something what mediator needs. So we say public sealed record create session. This is not query, this is command, because we need to post something. Create session command. And what commands need? It needs a speaker ID, so we need a speaker. I'm typing everything because just things will make sense. We need a type, we need a title which comes from the request. We need a description, description. And now there is something called as I request. This is the request. I request, which comes from the mediator. Okay, and here you expect what will be the response what you are going to send, because here we need to tell, hey, if someone is trying to create a request, what will be the response? So the response is simple. We want to send a response. Let me create a response. So we will say public sealed record create session response. Create session, like when the session got created, what you need to send back to the user. So for that, I'm going to create send him the session ID, and I'm going to send him the joining code. That's it, join code. That's what I'm going to send him. And now this will change to result which we have created, result dot, which is going to be of type create session response. And that's it. So you have a command which you are trying to create, and this command needs this much thing, and this command is going to handle your request and return a response if everything goes well. And this is your response. Now you have a command, so someone needs to handle your command. So for that, we create a command handler. This is the beauty of vertical slice with CQRS. So create session command handler .cs. you need a namespace. You give this API slash feature slash session dot create public sealed record. Okay. Create a command. What is this doing? No, this is incorrect. So we'll say public sealed record. We say create session command handler. Okay, this is your, and this guy is using primary constructor. So we say app db context, which is my DB, right? And here you need to have I request handler. So you have I request here when we create a command. Here you have handler for it. So I request handler, and here you need to define, okay, which is your request, which request you want to handle. We want to handle this request which we have created, right or wrong? So we say, hey, this is my create session, okay, create session command which returns a result. So let's go and fix this. Okay, this is your request command and this will handle your result. Okay, now, and this is the request. This is actually incorrect. This should be create session request, not like command. Okay, because this has to be your request, not the command. Wait, I might be wrong, because okay, this request, okay, now you will be like, Sky, what is this request and what is this request? What is the difference between these two? This request is required for your API endpoint and this is required for your command handlers. So yeah, so this should be your command. This is correct. And here we create a session. This is wrong because we don't do like this. We do like domain driven way. So we have session dot create, and what we need for create, we need a title, description and ID. So let's add a title which is coming from request dot title comma request dot description. And I don't know why you need a join code. Yeah, that's it. So we have a request, we add the session, we save the changes, and we have to return. So now what we return? So here you need to understand first like how we are going to return. So we return now results because we need a result here. Okay, but for that we did a small mistake because we need some checks to happen. First we need to check if the speaker exists or not. So we say where speaker exists. So here you will find if speaker exists or not. If speaker is not existing, then you return a failure. Can you see this result? This is what I was talking about. So we have result. Why is it not working? Result. Yes. We can give a type. What kind of type? This is create session response, right? Dot failure. And we can say not found. Oh, this is wrong because we need to send the error type. So we have error dot not found. We can say speaker not found. And that's it. If speaker not found, okay, this has to be fixed because we need to import entity framework core. This is fixed. So we need to first add a check here. Okay, if speaker is not there, then we cannot create a session. We say speaker not found. We create a session if there is speaker exist because we need a speaker ID. Then we save the changes and then we return the result. So this is not correct. We need to return a result. So we say return the result within success and we have the response. Okay, and that's all. You don't need this. Now remember what all files you have created. We have command, we have a command handler. Now you need an endpoint, the endpoint which will handle this request, right? So let's create that. So we have create session endpoint .cs. Let's add the namespace. Okay, API dot features dot session dot create session public. We say internal here. So internal sealed class create session endpoint which uses I endpoint which you already have from the extension, and then you go and quick fix. I'm trying to do it because just to show you, this is the power of this I endpoint which we have created. And here you have everything what you need. So this is your app map post, and this is the MediatR. Now remember, this is where we use create session request, because from the user I will just take two things, title and description. That's all. Okay. A speaker ID, I have to get it from the context itself. So there is something called as HTTP context. HTTP client context, if I'm not wrong, something like that we have. Yeah, HTTP context we have. So from context, if you are using JWT token, whoever logs into your system, you have a speaker ID out of the box. So we can handle that later. So let's not do it now. Once we will see what is JWT token and all that, then we will see. So we are going to create our speaker ID like this. Okay. And you remember, right? Now here we have a result. So here we have a result. Okay. So this result, okay, here if you say result dot, so you have is success, is failure and all that. So here we don't need to do it manually like this. Say, hey, if it is success, we will return okay or a problem. What we will do, we will just say result dot to HTTP result, and that's it. Just by one line we can do that. Okay. And yeah, this is going to create a session for me, and my endpoint is ready. This is some metadata what you can add. Like, this is pretty simple and easy to understand. That's why I say now with AI, this is easy to add all this metadata descriptions and all that. Okay. There is something also called as dot with produces, I don't know, produce problem, produce validation, produces, you can like, yeah, produces not found, just to give more explicit, like, hey, what this endpoint you can expect it, you can expect all this type of issues. So that's what produces is. Okay, let's save the changes, and now we have to go and rebuild the project. So we go to your resources, go to your API project, and you can rebuild the project. Okay, let's rebuild. Oof, okay, I did a lot today. I'm so happy. It's building the project now. It is running. Let's open up this. Yeah, it's here, and we have scalar. Here you have another endpoint called as post, which we just now created, and this is, see the power of grouping we have using map group. So we already have the versioning handled. For example, if in future you need to change the handling of your version, you can just go to program.cs. You can create a separate builder, and you can have you can have a separate builder, and that route group builder you can attach to the endpoint. That's it. That's how easy it will be to do the versioning of your API endpoints. Okay, let's go back and let's test our API endpoint. So let me test the request. We have title and description. You can go and send title. Redis. It's going to be a session. So create a session for YouTube live stream. So description, this is for my personal YT live stream. Okay, let's send the request. So I sent the request. I saw something, but I don't have a request body. That's the problem. We should have a request body, and yeah, but I see it's 200 success. So let's see and validate if we have a session created. We need to fix that. Yeah, so we can see a new session got created. This is my response from YouTube, and yeah, this is in draft stage. We have a joining code. So my expectation was it should return me some join code. Okay, but currently it is not returning me anything. Let's see why. Let's try to add debugging. What do you guys think? Let's try to see do some debugging. And okay, for debugging I know what to do. So let's go here. It's better to do debugging here. So we have launch.json, and we have this .NET Aspire, which we say this is of type Aspire. You need to change it to Aspire. You can give a name, which is whatever you want. We have a request which you need to basically launch, and then you need to tell the program. So you have to tell the program here, like where is your program basically sits. So okay, this just give the workspace where you are, and that's it. Okay, Aspire host, this is just the version, I don't know. Okay, this is Aspire launch with the same workspace. Okay, that's good. Let's go and show you how do we debug this. So let's close this because we will attach a debugger now. So we go here, we can see Aspire app host. This is the name, what you see here. So you can go and run this. Okay, it is searching for Aspire app host in the workspace, connecting to app host. I hope this works. This is a pure guess. Yeah, starting the dashboard. Yeah, something is running. Yeah, it has started the dashboard, which is good. And let's see. Okay, it runs. We are just trying to debug now. Okay, waiting for the API. Yes, starting this. Yeah, can you see now this uses HTTPS, which is good. If you see the previous one, which we were locally running it was using 5193, but now this uses HTTPS 77007. Okay, good. Okay, now we need to debug. So let's do some debugging. Let's minimize it till this. Okay, where is my API endpoint? Let's go and grab all my files, create session. This is the endpoint. So this is where the request will first come. Then it will go to my command handler, which is this. And now we will see what's going wrong. What went wrong? Okay, let's go back. Let's go to your request and let's have scalar. We have this post. We say test the request title, some dummy title and dummy description. Let's click on send. Okay, so here comes my debugger. We can check. So it first goes, okay, this is the command handler, right? Okay, so this is where the command will go and send to your mediator. So it goes here to the mediator. It has a speaker ID, right? Yes. So it goes and checks if speaker exists. Yes, the speaker exists. It is true. So it will not come here and fail, which is good. It will go and create a session, takes the speaker ID and it creates a session based on this description. Good. Okay. And then it adds it to the database, saves the changes, and this guy is trying to return which seems like correct because we need to return a success response and we return what we need to return. That's good. Let's go to the next. Okay, it comes and logs the information, which is good. You remember we had a logger and it returns the response. Yeah, it also success there. Now we have a result here. So we have a result, we have no error, failure is false, and we have a value. Okay, we have a value with the session ID and this. Okay, I think the problem is inside this two results. So let's have a debug point here as well. Okay, it comes here as a success and we say result.ok and this should give me this value. So let's go here as well and put a debug point here. Okay, let's go. So okay, it comes here, failure is not false. Yeah, it's false, so it goes here. Let's see the value. The value is never initialized. Okay, I see this problem and we don't have we do have a value. Okay, sorry. So we have a value here which has session ID and the joining code. Okay, then it should have returned this. Why I get empty response then? Why the body is empty? Body should have a JSON. Body should have a JSON. What could be the issue, guys? Anyone here who knows what could be the issue? Where we are going wrong? Do we have anyone? Yes, we have a lot of people watching. 4 people, I mean. Okay, so do you guys think what could be the issue? We need to go and figure out. So what I see that we have two HTTP response which basically checks your result. Okay, and based on the result it should return some value which you send as a success. That's what all I can think. It should have a body here. Interesting. Let's see. Let's open the VS Code. This is where it returns. I see the problem should be somewhere here. We have success to return the value as yes, result.success. There is no failure, so this is the only area I know. And yep, this returns a value. What else we can expect? So we have a value here which is initialized by this, so we are already initializing the value from here, right? And this value gets attached to this guy and there is no error. And when someone asks for a value, we just return this private property that return this value. That's what this get value does. What could be the issue? Who can tell me? I'm just trying to analyze. Anyone in the comment? Let's see. Response type, I mean produces response. Produces response. Rahul.net. Okay. Did I miss? Which one do you mean? Wait. I think I know what you mean. Okay. All right. But it produces this create response side, and this is with status code. What's wrong in this? Okay. What if I remove this? I have no idea about that. I just, in the mapping endpoint, we need to check. In the mapping endpoint, we need to check. What do you mean? What we need to check? Oh, you mean we need to check the response type? But no, I don't think so. Okay, let's see. I'm just suspecting maybe it's because of that guy who was doing that issue. Let's see. Let's try to rebuild and see. Produces, but it produces, okay, this should be result, I guess, not just with an object. It should be with the result of, okay. Let's see. Okay, should have removed the debug point. Let's remove all the debug points and let's go back to see what we get. Okay, we get nothing. Yeah, it's 200, that's all. Maybe we are missing something. Type of object which we are passing. I'm not able to get you, to be honest, but yeah, let me figure out which part you mean. Do you mean in the API endpoint? Rahul, are you talking about API endpoint where I'm missing anything? Because this returns a result and we have a result which is this. Okay, and what does this result has? This result is of type. Okay, we have this result which returns this is failure, success, and we have get value. Okay, and then we go to HTTP response. We get the result. We read result of OK of get value, and get value is what our object looks like. And this is it never comes here, which is okay. I need to focus this guy result.ok. Create session endpoint. And where is the endpoint? This is handler. This is the endpoint. It checks for this. It should return, right? It should return. What am I missing? Let's see. Let's see if Rahul has something as well. Yes. Oh, okay. You mean yes about my last question? What I asked? Okay. Okay. We can send a command with the speaker ID. That's all. We send the result. Yes. Sender. Yeah. Sender or mediator, whatever you say. Do we use okay, do we use sender or we use mediator? This should be sender. Okay, if I am not wrong, and center.send, not mediator.send. Okay, that's just one part, and you get the result. But still, that also works, but just in case. Now we just go and return the result. Okay, and I don't have. Come on, man. Come on. Okay, let me see your comment and let me see if that makes sense. That's what you mean. Shit. Type of object which we are passing. No, the problem was the return. This is okay. Let's see. I'm still not excited. Let's see. First, let's build the project. But yeah, I think that was the problem. So let's rebuild the project. By the way, thanks Rahul for the help. I like that. Thank you. Let's send something. Okay. It still did nothing. I might need to. Let's rebuild the whole project. VS Code. Let's restart this whole project. Starting the dashboard. Come on, start. Yes. Let's see, what am I missing? I'm so close. So close. PG admin, come on, run. Yes, it's starting now. Started. Okay, let's refresh this. Test the API endpoint. Let's do some validation issue. Yes, this is validation error. This is working fine. But let's add some title and let's add some description, and now click on send and I get an object. The problem was I should have restarted the whole system. And the thing is, I was thinking that just by rebuilding the project will do the job, but no, it was not doing it somehow. So I just restarted the project and now it works. Yes, need to add return. Yes, Rahul, that's what I just added. And now it works fine. So now can you see, guys, I have a very beautiful response. Okay, now it's time for us to add some validation, because we have not added validation to this. So let's add a validation and then we will end the stream. Okay, let's add a validation. So here we have create session. Now we need to have create session validator.cs. Let's have a namespace. Let me stop this guy. Come on. Oh, it has two instances. All right. Stop. Doesn't work. Come on. Stop, please. People are watching. Stop. Shit, man. It's not working. I don't know why. Restart works. Forget it. Let's first focus on what we are trying to build. Okay. Or maybe let me reload. Shift tab, reload. Yes, please reload. Okay. Yeah, that has stopped it. Let's have a namespace. Okay, let the C# library load. Yeah, it's not loading. Let me get the help from the AI. Come on. TalkPulse.api. What was that? Features. Yes. What was the feature name? Sessions. Create session. Okay, this is where we are inside, and we need to create a session validator. So we can create public sealed class, create session validator, which takes from abstract abstract validator. Right here we say create session session request, and here we can have CTOR session parameters, and here we can get the value from I don't know what do they really call it. So we can create all these validators by adding a rule for. Yes, so this abstract class, if I go inside this guy has something called as rule for. Yes, this is what we want. So we say here rule for title. What else? Rule for description. That's it. And description maximum length is 1000. Right, 1000 characters. That's all. So we have a title. It shouldn't be empty. Title is required with a message. Title must not exceed 100 characters. Also, that also we can add. This should be command, not this. Create session command. Let's see what do I mean by that. So yeah, this is what it will go and validate. Good. Let's save the changes. So now we have a validator in place, which is already been added in the program.cs, and this should now work. If you don't add title, then this will catch it and this will return this response for us. Okay, let's run this thing again. Aspire host, building the project, connecting to app host, determining the project, and starting the dashboard. Okay, let's see if we get any validation errors now. Let it get start. Let's wait for the messaging. We can skip this if you want. Like, let's not have messaging as a dependency to start the API, at least for now. And we refresh this just in case. We have a fresh instance, and now we try to click on send, and there you go. So we get some validation error, okay, at this create endpoint, but I'm not happy with this response. This is text/plain, and my expectation was as an object, and this gives me 500 internal error. Okay, we have the validation behavior, okay, and this fails at the middleware. Okay. I know what's the issue. Because if you remember, I know what's the issue, because we are asking assembly and we are using somewhere internal. So we need to make sure that, okay, I know that issue. There is something called as include internal types. So this is something which we need to explicitly add to make it work. Because I remember we were facing some issues back then about some middleware issue, and it was giving me 500 errors. So yeah, we need to make sure that we have include internal types to make it as true. And yeah, this should do the job. Let's go and build the project, not run completely. I hope this time this works. Rebuild the project, because we cannot run every time the app host. Okay, it's running fine. Let's go to scalar. Okay, I don't get it. Why this guy needs complete build. Stop. Rebuild the project. Finished. Start. Okay, let's go to this instance. Use scalar, because I'm not liking this approach that every time I make change I need to rebuild. This is validation failed. That's okay, and it's still the same error of that exception what I was expecting. Okay, let's do one thing, guys. Let's restart. I hope this fixes, but yeah, I need to figure out some way. This is not correct. I need to find out how can we not do Aspire run every time we make a change, because this is not ideal. Ideally we should just, okay, this will fail because yeah, it's still starting. Yeah, this is waste of time. I don't know, I thought rebuild will work, but it's not. I need to check something on internet. Why? Okay, I still get this error. Validation behavior, the title is required. End of stack trace. I remember we have added everything what it is required, and okay, and we have an exception as well. We are getting an exception of 500. Okay, wait, let's go to check your exception. Remember we added exception, global exception handler, and this should handle this exception, but it is not handling it. So the problem would be that we have not registered the exception handler. Okay, this could be the issue. So we need to add the builder.service. So the only thing we need to check where we should add it. So this is the validator assembly, this is the endpoints, and I think just before the endpoints we can add it here. So we say builder.services dot add exception handler. We give the global exception handler, we import. Okay, that's the first thing. And then we also using problem details, so we can say builder.services.add problem details. So we have registered, but now we need to make sure that we are handling the exception, so we need to register it in the middleware. So before the redirect we can say app.use exception handler, and that's all. That's how you add the middleware. Okay, now we go and restart, and I hope this should work this time. Okay, let's see. Anyone has anything in the comment? No, nothing. What do you think, Rahul? Is it correct now? Will it give me correct response? Let's see if this helps me this time. Oh my god, I haven't did my breakfast. It is already 2 a.m. I need to go and do my brunch. Scalar session, test the request, you click on send, and there you go. This is what was expected. Now we have a validation failure. We get the status code, we get the message, we get the title, hey, what was wrong, and we get the say that the property name is this, the error message is this, and this can be used in the front end. You got my point? This can be used in the front end, and this is how we have this file which does the job for us. We have a file called as global exception handler, and this guy handles all sort of exception for us. So for now, for us it is breaking at this point. It gives us this title details, and this is the extension what we added to show the error. So whenever you want to define your own way of error, so you can add an extension. This is the beauty of problem details. So problem details allows you to add your own property if you need to add. So if you, for example, there is nothing called as error here, but you can create an extension and you can pass it in the object. Okay, define your name, which it will, so this will replace here. So now you have error, and this error shows this problem. Like what is the property which has error, and what is the error message? Make sense? I hope it does. Right, so now I think we have everything plugged, and we can also see this, right? So if you go to TalkPulse, we also have structured logging done. So here you can find what it is this guy is listening to, the API call. Once the API call goes, this should basically show everything. Okay, the title in the session is required. See, we got a validation failed, and we can also log it here. We got a warning. We got a warning here that hey, there was some failure here, and handled exception occurred, validation failed, title session is required, severity is error. Okay, but the logging is warning, so I think that's fine. Okay, because anyway we get some response. But now if I have a successful response, what will happen? Let's see. If I give a valid title and a valid description, and if I click on send, so can you see I got a session code, session ID, and I got a join code. And if you go back to the structured logging, you will see some good information that hey, handling the create command and handle the create command with a response. So you see, everything is in place now, and now we are ready to start with creating the more endpoints in the next session, because this is what my today's plan was. We are done till here. We did all of this today. Now we have get session by ID, create poll, which we will do tomorrow. Tomorrow is Sunday, but I'm not sure if I get time. If not tomorrow, then we are going to meet on Wednesday, 10 p.m. India time, I guess. Yes, 10 p.m. India time, and yeah, this is what it is. And okay, right. So now I see there are some people who. Do you guys have any question for me till now? Whatever we have did, and let me go ahead and commit this code so that you guys can use the code. If you are learning with something similar like me, because this is all I'm doing for my learning base, just so that I'm again aware about .NET area. I know what is this all about, vertical slice, MediatR, and all that. Okay, so we can go and commit this change. Let's use GitHub commit. Let's see what it gives me. Add session creation functionality with validation and error handling. Yes, go and commit the changes. If you want to get this code, go to github.com/ysashi/talkpulse, and you can find the code here, which I just now published. Okay, it's easy to do. Just clone it and just run the way I'm running it. Alright, okay. If you guys also want to see before I go, I was working on